Okay, let's bring in Muhannad Ayyash, who's a professor of sociology at the Mount Royal University. He joins me from Alberta in Canada. Welcome to you. As you're a professor of sociology, I want to start with a sociological question. So we've got Israel and the US quite clearly looking to enforce regime change in Iran. And this is a country where many of the public have been out on the streets protesting against their leaders. What impact does it have when you've got external countries coming in and trying to enforce their will on a country where the public weren't happy with their leaders but might not appreciate foreign interference?
Thank you for having me. And that is absolutely correct. The worst thing that you can do by the US and Israel is to do exactly what they just did. If you wanted actual people uprising and a revolutionary movement in Iran that would overthrow the regime, Israel and the US can only hurt such a movement because the overwhelming majority of people in Iran do not support Israel, do not support Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people. The majority of Iranians also do not support the idea of living under the thumb of U.S. superpower and U.S. imperialism. They have fought very hard for their sovereignty, and they want to keep that. Many of the Iranians in opposition would probably want good relations, win-win relations with the U.S., but not to be under the thumb of the U.S. I would say there's even people in the regime, in the current regime, that would welcome such an opportunity to have a win-win kind of relationship with the U.S. I mean, we've heard reports that the agreement that was that the Iranians had agreed to, the deal that the Iranians had agreed to, did involve a significant opening up of the Iranian economy and its oil and gas industry to American businesses. So, but what they don't want, like I said, is to live under the power of a foreign ruler. Who does? So what this war has done is galvanize support for Iran as a nation state, as an independent sovereign nation state across the country. That's what it looks like from my viewpoint. The feelings of opposition towards the regime are not going to just magically go away either. But certainly this kind of invasion presents the people of Iran with really two options. You either fight for your sovereignty and your freedom, even if it is with fellow Iranians that you vehemently disagree with and would like to overthrow, or you succumb to the power of a foreign invader. And I think most of them are choosing to fight for their freedom and sovereignty, as you would expect many other people to do.
Now, President Trump's come out in the last 24 hours and said in an interview that he has to be involved in selecting Iran's next leader. Now, it might be that the next leader is someone who the protesters would have actually been okay with. But if that person is anointed by Donald Trump, will they not instantly become tainted and considered to be a puppet leader?
I mean, it's so difficult to answer that question because I don't know how you even make sense of that. What procedures is he imagining in his head of him? Does he imagine an invitation into a Zoom meeting with the Council of Experts to partake in the selection of this new leader? Does he imagine that he's just going to send a diktat and they're going to follow along? I mean, I think we've heard a clearer idea from Trump this week about his plans for his beautiful new ballroom than we've heard about his plans for regime change in Iran. It seems to me that this is incredibly fanciful thinking. One scenario that is plausible is that the Iranians themselves would present a leadership that they were probably going to go with anyway, that seems to be okay with Donald Trump and the Trump administration, perhaps give him the appearance of a win, kind of like what we saw in Venezuela, but not really giving up too much, or at least not more than they were already willing to give up in that deal, like I said, that was reportedly agreed upon, as the Omani foreign minister had mentioned, prior to this invasion. So I can see that kind of scenario happening, but the idea that he's going to all of a sudden just participate in the decision-making process in Iran and tell the people of Iran, oh, I have picked your leader, and the people, I just don't see that happening. What I would imagine in any such scenario is that there would be one kind of messaging happening within the US and for the Trump campaign, and then a different kind of messaging taking place within Iran for something like that to work. But I mean, this still seems a little bit far ahead at this moment in terms of reality on the ground and what is actually going on.
What we seem to be seeing is Israel and the United States trying to annihilate the military capabilities of Iran, and in the process, hundreds, perhaps thousands of civilians are getting caught up in this. WHO says that health infrastructure is being targeted. So there's massive damage done to the country. What does history tell us about when a country is targeted like this and incurs huge damage? What does it tell us about how the populace then, how it responds a year from now, 2 years, 3 years? Because I would have thought that that might breed an awful lot, maybe increase levels of animosity.
People's memories are very, very long, especially when it comes to violence like this. People don't just forget about seeing their children being massacred in front of their eyes, picking up the pieces of their children and trying to collect them all to go and bury them and give them an honorable and respectful burial. People don't forget the destruction of everything that they hold dear, and those memories will not go away for generations to come. So yes, this will absolutely breed more hostility towards Israel in the US, not less. Israel, especially Israel, but also the United States, have for a very long time come to this fanciful idea that the more they unleash their great violence on people, the more that they're going to be able to subdue people and keep them down and get their way, politically and economically speaking. And while that might help them achieve short-term and intermediate-term goals, it will not serve them in the long run because people have these long memories. Nobody forgets these things. Today, people still, even me personally, having no connection to, let's say, Haiti. When I read about the Haitian Revolution and the violence that the French visited upon those slaves, it animates me. This is something that is inherent to I will say even human nature, is to remember suffering like this and struggle for justice for all those who have suffered these great injustices. And the scenes we are seeing out of Iran, out of Lebanon, of course, out of Palestine, and many other places, are scenes and stories that are going to stay in the hearts and minds of people, not just in Iran, but across the region for generations to come. And those people will continue to struggle for justice throughout their entire lives, to honor all of those who have suffered and who have died at the hands of these aggressive wars of invasion. So unfortunately, what this means is that this war, along with every other war that we've seen the last few decades in the region, are just going to breed more instability, more wars. Some of them will be civil wars as well, because sometimes the violence is released internally as opposed to against the external source that caused it. So this is all leading into a really terrible situation that's going to continue to be terrible for a long time to come, unless we make some drastic changes here when it comes to policies relative to the Middle East.
Muhannad, great to speak to you. Thanks for your time. Muhannad Ayyash is my guest. He's a professor of sociology at Mount Royal University.